how do organizations attempt to use their language to create value for themselves, and today even more than ever, how do they attempt to use language to create value for society? The idea here is to take what they say when they convert abstract ideas into concrete language and then see what are the outcomes. So I'm going to say that there are two aspects of corporate social responsibility that are important. Okay? The first is that we can say, okay, well, yes, corporate social responsibility is about doing good things, something that has social good. But there are two criteria for any action for it to count as social responsibility. One is that it has to be beyond the interests of the firm. Second, it needs to go not only beyond their self-interest, but it also needs to go beyond the requirements of the law. Now the question is, why are we concerned about CSR? Because it's long-term success, and I would suggest also it's long-term survival. In doing so, it means that they must move beyond their own self-interest to adopt a stewardship perspective. That they are managing their resources of their organization in a very practical way, but also in a very benevolent way. And this is not only from an instrumental perspective, it's also very much from a social perspective. The second part moves beyond the stewardship of the organization to think about the environment in which the organization operates, but also the social environment in terms of the spirit of the community in which they operate. We can also think about risks that come with social responsibility. The first is that there's risks to companies and risks to society that we both share. Okay? It's a lose-lose situation all the way around. The second is, I don't want to call it a win-lose scenario, but it's one that there's certainly more opportunities for society, maybe not as much for business, but nevertheless, there are issues that we need to address. I think the opportunity that business usually wants to talk about is the opportunities for society and the opportunities for business. I'm going to talk briefly about this project here called the Global Reporting Initiative by the United Nations. The Global Reporting Initiative is an initiative to ask for companies to describe what they're doing on a year-to-year basis for society, the good things, and just as importantly, they're asking companies to disclose the bad things. So the phenomenon, the issue that we're trying to observe is, how do organizations say that they are going to be transparent, okay, but attempt to subvert the process in some way to continue the same old practices that they've always done? Now we hope that they do want to fall in line and change their practices, but we suspect that there may be cases where they don't. And here's one of the reasons why I think this. The term that I use for this is called transparency signal, right? Because we know that if organizations say that they are transparent, they're probably not. Transparency says the media are not enough. So I'm going to give you three perspectives on transparency tonight. The first says an organization is transparent simply because they say they're transparent. Okay, come on. Do you really believe that? Anyone? The second one is where I come into play, right? What I'm interested in doing is taking abstract language here, okay, coming up with criteria that we can all agree on, that if those criteria exist in the real world, then an organization is transparent because we all agree on it. We have to first agree on the definition, agree on the criteria, and that if we see the criteria, then we should walk away from that observation saying that we saw the same thing, right? That's the idea. The third is that transparency exists just because people perceive it so. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to detect when an organization is being truthy. Okay? Truthy. It's not really true, it's not a lie, it's just truth-like. Truthiness is a bigger challenge than just fraud or lies or deception. Is that to lie, to deceive, you have to at least have enough respect for the truth to know what the truth is. But if you BS and you engage in truthiness, you have no respect for the truth. And I think that's a great place to stop. All right, and open the floor for questions.